All right, so welcome to another deep dive. And today we're looking at a marketing campaign that really hit it big. And they did it by kind of mixing sports, home appliances,
Okay.
and a little bit of pandemic ingenuity. You could almost say it's like washing machines meet the Premier League.
That's an interesting combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you intrigued?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds fascinating.
Well, we're going to unpack how Midea,
Okay.
and that's pronounced my dear,
My dear. Okay.
turned their partnership with the Manchester City Football Club into, honestly, like a global phenomenon.
Yeah, this is a really cool case study in adaptability. You know.
Yeah.
It really shows how brands can turn these like unexpected challenges
Yeah.
into opportunities to really genuinely connect with people.
Yeah. And it all starts with this thing called the Midea Home Challenge, which evolved from just a simple idea they had during lockdown into a multi-year success story.
It's really remarkable how they managed to keep that same theme going throughout, like build on that initial spark of creativity. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's rewind back to 2020.
Okay.
Midea, they had just partnered with Manchester City,
Right.
and then bam, the pandemic hits.
Oh, yeah.
Matches are canceled, fans are stuck at home, their huge launch plans
Oh, wow.
just totally out the window.
Yeah, it really forced them to rethink their entire approach, didn't it?
Totally.
Like instead of just doing those like traditional sponsorships and branding,
Yeah.
they had to come up with something that would actually work in this new world
Right.
dominated by,
Right.
virtual connections.
Totally. So what did they do?
Yeah. What do they do?
They launched this thing called the hashtag Midahome Challenge.
Okay.
And get this, the first version had Manchester City players, coaches, even legends of the club filming themselves kicking socks into Midea appliances. Socks.
Think about that. It's so random.
It is.
But so relatable
Yeah.
because everyone has socks.
And, who hasn't kicked a sock across the room?
So exactly. Everyone's done that.
So it was this simple choice, but it just tapped into this like universal experience.
Yeah.
And it really brilliantly kind of positions these elite athletes
Right.
as just regular people having a good time.
Totally.
It was genius.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was engaging. And it kept fans entertained during lockdown.
Yeah.
They actually had 15 players, coaches, and legends participate.
Wow.
So talk about a viral hit waiting to happen.
That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, it really tapped into that whole, zeitgeist
Yeah.
of everyone being stuck at home.
Totally.
And they found this lighthearted way to connect with people, which is
Yes.
really smart.
So smart. But it gets even better. So Midea employees saw this fun happening,
Uh-huh.
and they wanted in on the action.
Sure.
The problem was they couldn't win prizes because they were employees.
Ah, that makes sense.
Right. So it presented this unique challenge of like, how do you maintain this excitement of the campaign,
Right.
but acknowledge these different roles
Yes. Yeah.
within the company?
Absolutely.
So instead of like shutting them out, Midea was like, you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to launch a separate internal hashtag Midahome Challenge just for our employees.
That's brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Turning a potential problem into an opportunity,
Exactly.
boost morale, and turn those everyday workers into brand ambassadors.
Absolutely.
It shows they really get internal marketing,
Yeah.
By engaging their employees, they created this sense of ownership and pride in the brand, which then obviously translates into that authentic enthusiasm that resonates with customers.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's fast forward to 2021.
Okay.
Hashtag Meet Home Challenge is back,
All right.
but it's evolved.
Yeah.
So instead of having those individual player videos,
Yeah.
they actually created this more polished production. This one had 7 players and 15 media products,
Wow.
all interacting in this, it's interesting how they decided to, step up the production value
Yeah.
while still keeping that same, fun, relatable
Yeah.
vibe.
Totally. And the video, it went viral among Manchester City fans. So clearly they were onto something.
For sure.
Then in 2022, they took it up another notch. They moved hashtag Midahome Challenge 3.0 to the players' locker room at Etihad Stadium.
Oh, wow. What an upgrade.
Right.
Yeah.
It brought a whole new level of excitement and exclusivity
Totally.
to the whole campaign. They even brought in these hosts, Craig Mitch and Timsy,
Okay.
to add personality and humor.
Oh, nice.
So they came up with 3 challenges: home run,
Okay.
Insta wash, and home truth.
All right.
All cleverly incorporating, of course, Midea appliances.
Of course, yeah.
And just to make it even more fun, the player who lost had to do a forfeit.
Well, that's fun.
Right. It was very lighthearted and engaging, which is a big reason why I think the hashtag Midea Challenge resonated with so many people.
Yeah, it's a great example of how they just kept finding ways to, like, refine and improve the campaign, making sure that it stayed fresh and exciting year after year.
Absolutely. And that brings us up to 2023 and hashtag Midea Challenge 4.0. And for this one, they pitted Manchester City players against what they called Midea hero products.
Okay.
So this concept, it just blurred the lines even more between entertainment and product demonstration.
Right.
Because they showcased the appliance's features, but in this really fun and engaging way.
That's smart.
So in Keep Your Cool, players had to score goals through this sliding window on a Midea fridge. In Robopong, they used a Midea robot vacuum cleaner to play, like, table tennis. And then in Touch Test, they had to guess items inside a Midea fridge just by touch.
Wow.
So these challenges, they weren't just, silly. They were really strategically designed to highlight the appliance's unique features and benefits. So they weren't just telling people what their products could do. They were showing them and making them laugh along the way.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that.
So we've seen this whole evolution of the hashtag Midea Challenge from, like, this pandemic pivot to this multi-year success story. But, like, what are the key takeaways here?
I think, this campaign really shows the power of being adaptable, creative, and having a deep understanding of your audience.
Yeah.
Midea didn't just throw money at a problem. They used strategic thinking and innovation to create something that people genuinely enjoyed.
Totally. Like, they cracked the code for making marketing. That doesn't feel like marketing, They entertained, they engaged, and they kind of subtly showcased their products without, like, being pushy about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the key things here is that they used humor consistently. But it wasn't just like random silliness. They were really strategic about it.
Yeah.
They used humor to make the campaign relatable and memorable.
I mean, the sock challenge is just the perfect example of that.
Absolutely.
It was so unexpected and funny, and it made those world-class athletes seem more human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because, remember, humor, it's a really powerful tool for connecting with people.
Totally.
It kind of lowers their defenses, makes them more receptive to your message.
Totally.
And it makes them more likely to remember it later on.
Absolutely. And it also helped that they designed the challenges to showcase the Midea appliances in a way that just felt natural and organic.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not like they were just randomly placing products in the background. They were integrating them into the actual challenges.
Exactly, like kicking socks into a washing machine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant because it's funny, but it's also relevant. It highlights what the product does while also entertaining people.
Yeah. And as the campaign evolved, they kept finding these creative ways to integrate their products into the challenges, from, fridges to robot vacuum cleaners. And it never felt forced or overly promotional.
Totally.
Yeah.
Another thing they did really well was they leveraged that emotional connection that fans already have with Manchester City players, right?
Totally.
By involving the players so much, they tapped into that existing fandom.
Yes.
And they created this, like, shared experience.
Totally. It's like, if my favorite player is having fun with this Midea fridge, maybe I should check it out too.
Exactly. It positions the products as something, like, desirable and aspirational,
Totally, totally.
And it wasn't just about, like, the star power of the players either.
Right.
Did you notice how the production quality of the videos got better each year?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
In the early days, it was very rough and ready.
Yeah.
Capturing that raw energy of lockdown.
Yeah.
But as the campaign evolved, they brought in, like, professional production.
Yeah.
Sleek editing, and even those, like, fun hosts.
Yes, totally.
Which shows that they were strategically investing in the visuals.
Yes.
To match the campaign's growth.
Right.
And appeal to a wider audience.
Yes.
Because they understood that, looking good matters.
Yes.
Especially in a world that's so dominated by social media.
Totally. So it's not just about having a great idea, it's about executing it well.
Exactly.
And let's not forget about the role of social media in all of this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Midea didn't just create great content.
Right.
They amplified it through like strategic social media marketing.
Yeah, totally. They understood that people love to share things.
Yeah.
So they encouraged fans to participate, spread the word.
Yeah.
And they essentially turned viewers into participants and participants into promoters.
Yes.
It's really clever.
And because the content was so engaging and funny,
right,
people wanted to share it.
Exactly.
So it sparked all these conversations, generated buzz.
Yeah.
And it just extended the campaign's reach.
Yeah.
Way beyond like traditional advertising.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a great example of a truly integrated marketing campaign. Yeah. Where all the pieces work together to create this cohesive and impactful experience.
Yes. So we've seen how Midea combined like humor, this relatability involving the players, high-quality production, and this really savvy social media strategy to create a campaign that was honestly like greater than the sum of its parts.
It really was.
But what can we learn from all this?
Yeah, put yourself in the shoes of a marketing manager for a second.
Okay. What
can you take away from Midea's playbook?
I think one of the big things is that they showed you don't need this like massive budget or some groundbreaking invention to create a campaign that's successful.
Right.
It's about finding that simple, relatable thing that connects your brand with your audience.
Exactly. It's about knowing your audience.
Yeah.
Understanding what they like, what motivates them, and then finding a creative way to tap into those things.
Yes.
So what's your like sock challenge?
Right.
What's that unexpected, relatable element that will make your brand stand out?
Totally. And I think the Midea campaign also reminds us that being authentic matters.
Absolutely.
So they weren't trying to be something they embraced like the silliness, the fun, the relatable parts of like everyday life. And people responded to that.
They did. Because it builds trust.
Yes.
It creates connections.
Yes.
And it makes your brand more memorable.
Totally. It's like they figured out how to make marketing human again.
Yeah, it's not just about selling products.
Right.
It's about creating experiences.
Yeah.
Telling stories and connecting with people on an emotional level.
Yes, absolutely. That's such a powerful insight.
It is.
And it's something that like any brand can apply.
Right.
It doesn't matter their size or industry.
It's a universal principle.
Totally. So we've talked a lot about connecting with customers. But Midea also showed us how important it is to engage your internal audience.
Yes.
Your employees.
Absolutely. Remember how they created that separate version of the hashtag #MeetoHome challenge just for their employees?
Yeah.
I mean, that was brilliant.
So smart.
Because not only did it solve the problem of employees feeling left out, but it turned them into brand advocates.
Yes.
Which is exactly what you want.
Absolutely. It turned what could have been this like negative thing into something really positive.
Exactly.
And it showed that Midea really values their employees and sees them as this important part of their success.
Totally.
I think that's a great point to transition into the next part of our deep dive. We've covered so much already.
Yeah.
But we want to go deeper into this idea of employee engagement and how Midea successfully like integrated that into their overall marketing strategy.
I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We've seen how Midea's #Home Challenge, engaged fans worldwide. But let's zoom in on something equally clever, their internal campaign for employees.
Oh, yeah, this is fascinating. It's like a MasterClass.
Yeah.
Turning a potential PR hiccup into a brand-building win.
Right. So employees, they saw the Manchester City Stars having a blast. And of course, they wanted in on the fun.
Of course, who wouldn't?
Right. But allowing them to compete for those main prizes would have raised fairness issues.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying like a flat out, no, Midea got created.
Smart.
Right.
Like, so what did they do?
They launched an internal #MeetoHome challenge.
Okay.
That basically mirrored the public one.
Okay.
But the prizes were tailored specifically for their team.
That's brilliant.
So it did way more than just avoid, hurt feelings.
Right.
It showed employees that they were valued.
Yeah.
Like they were part of this excitement, not just, cogs in the machine.
Exactly. And a happy workforce is more likely to, go that extra mile.
Absolutely. So this internal campaign boosted morale. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But the long-term effect, I think, is what's really powerful.
Oh, absolutely. The ripple effect.
So tell me, what's the ripple effect here?
It's about creating brand ambassadors.
Okay.
From within. When employees genuinely love what their company is doing, they basically become walking, talking endorsements.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're not just selling a product anymore. They're sharing their authentic enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And that kind of authenticity, that's marketing gold.
It's
way more persuasive than any, scripted ad campaign could ever be.
Absolutely. So Midea didn't just market to their employees, they marketed with them. What a smart move.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's something that, honestly, any brand can do. Doesn't matter what size they are, what industry they're in.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate your internal audience.
Yeah.
They can be your most powerful advocates.
It's like Midea saying, hey, we're all on the same team here. Let's have some fun, build something awesome together.
Exactly. And that sense of shared purpose is incredibly motivating. Right? It fosters loyalty, encourages creativity. And ultimately, it just leads to a stronger brand.
Totally. So wrapping up this deep dive into the Midea Home Challenge.
Okay.
What are the biggest takeaways for our listeners, whether they're marketing pros or just, curious minds?
Well, I think first and foremost, adaptability.
Okay.
Midea didn't just cling to their original plans when the world changed. They pivoted brilliantly and kept the core idea fresh year after year.
They turned lemons into lemonade and then spiked it with creativity.
Exactly. Second, don't underestimate the power of simple, relatable ideas. The sock challenge was genius because it was so unexpected and universal. It proves you don't need a huge budget. Just a good understanding of what makes people tick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, never forget the human element. And that applies to both your customers and your employees. Make them feel valued, engaged, and part of the journey.
Midea showed us that marketing can be fun.
Absolutely.
Authentic and genuinely heartwarming. And honestly, those are qualities that resonate always in any era.
They really do. They've given us a blueprint for success, not just in marketing, but in building lasting connections.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Midea Home Challenge.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some insights, had a few laughs, and maybe even found some inspiration to apply to your own, endeavors.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep challenging the status quo.
Okay, so we've talked about Midea and how they engaged fans worldwide with that #Home Challenge thing. But let's kind of focus in on something that was equally clever, which was their internal campaign for their employees.
Yeah, this is a really cool part of the story.
Totally.
It's like they took this potential PR problem and turned it into this big win for their brand.
Exactly. So as we know, the employees saw all those Man City stars having a blast. And naturally, they wanted to join in on the fun, right? But if they had let the employees actually compete for those big prizes, it would just raise all sorts of, fairness issues, right? So instead of just, shutting them down completely, Midea said, okay, let's get creative here.
Smart.
Right?
So what did they do?
They launched this whole separate internal #Midea Home Challenge.
Oh, cool.
That, mirrored the public one. Okay. But they made the prizes, tailored just for their team.
That's brilliant.
Right. So it did way more than just prevent some hurt feelings,
Yeah.
It showed employees that they were valued.
Totally.
That they were part of all this excitement.
Right.
Not just, working behind the scenes.
Yeah, they weren't just cogs in a machine. They were part of the team.
Exactly. And I think we can all agree that, a happy workforce
absolutely.
is going to be a more productive workforce.
Yeah, they're more likely to go above and beyond.
Totally. So this internal campaign, it definitely boosted morale.
No doubt.
But I think the long-term effect is even more powerful.
Yeah, the ripple effect, right.
So tell me, what's the ripple effect?
Well, it's all about creating brand ambassadors.
Okay.
But from within.
All right.
So when your employees genuinely love what their company is doing, they basically become these walking, talking endorsements for your brand.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, they're not just selling a product anymore. They're sharing their own authentic enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And that kind of authenticity, it's priceless.
It really is.
I mean, it's way more persuasive than any scripted ad campaign could ever hope to be.
Totally. So Midea didn't just market to their employees. They marketed with them.
Exactly.
Really smart.
It's such a smart move, and it's something that any brand can do.
Yeah.
Regardless of their size or what industry they're in.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate the power of your internal audience.
Yeah.
Because they can become your strongest advocates.
Totally. It's like Midea saying, hey, we're all part of this team.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun and build something amazing together.
Exactly. And that sense of shared purpose, it's incredibly motivating for everyone.
Yeah.
It builds loyalty. It encourages people to be more creative.
Right.
And ultimately, it just makes your brand stronger.
Absolutely. So to kind of wrap up our deep dive into this whole Midea Home Challenge, what would you say are the biggest takeaways for our listeners, whether they're, marketing experts or just people who are curious about this stuff?
Well, I think the first big takeaway is adaptability.
Okay.
Midea didn't just stick to their original plans when the world suddenly changed.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to pivot in this really brilliant way.
Yeah.
And they kept that core idea fresh and exciting year after year.
They took those lemons, turned them into lemonade, and then spiked it with some creativity.
Exactly. And second, I think it's important to remember that simple, relatable ideas can be incredibly powerful. Like that sock challenge, it was genius.
It was.
Because it was so unexpected and, universal.
Right.
And it proves that you don't need a massive budget.
Right.
You just need to understand what makes people tick.
Totally.
And then finally, I think the most important takeaway is to never forget that human element.
Yeah.
And that applies to both your customers and your employees.
Yeah.
Make them feel valued, make them feel engaged, make them feel like they're a part of the journey.
Like they're part of the team.
Exactly.
Midea showed us that marketing can be fun.
Absolutely.
It can be authentic.
Yeah.
And it can be genuinely heartwarming.
It can be.
And honestly, those are qualities that are going to resonate no matter what.
They're timeless.
Totally. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Midea Home Challenge.
Yeah, this is fun.
We hope you learned some stuff, maybe laughed a little, and maybe even got inspired to try some of these ideas out for yourself.
Yeah, go out there and be creative.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep exploring.
Keep learning.
And keep challenging the status quo.